Welcome back, everyone. My name is Omega Zero, and I am here to play Dark Souls 3. Now, just in case you're wondering, no, you don't need to know what happens in Dark Souls 1 or 2, because 2 is kind of off doing its own little separate thing, and 1 is mostly referenced in callbacks and references to different areas within the game, or certain characters, so on and so forth. I should also put this. Unfortunately, there will be no invasions during this other than the standard NPC invasions that might show up throughout the game just to cramp your style. Reason for this is I'm a broke college student. I don't have money to afford Xbox Gold, unfortunately, to do any of this. So yeah, we'll be doing Dark Souls 3. No invasions, unfortunately, and that's the thing. I really do like doing invasions. So, we will be starting a new game, and I might go for a particular build or not, depending on which character I choose. I might text my brother on this, like, oh, hey, if things don't go around, yada yada, I'll do something. But anyways, let's start this new game.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old words. The fire fades, and the lords go without thrones. When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old lords of Cinder from their graves. Aldrich, saint of the deep, Farron's undead legion, the Abyss Watchers. And the reclusive lord of the profaned capital. Yon the giant. Only in truth, the lords will abandon their thrones. And the unkindled will rise. Nameless, accursed undead, unfit even to be cinder. And so it is that ash seeketh embers.
That's an interesting way to set up this world and all that. So, here we are at character customization. Now, character customization is a fickle and interesting thing. You can make your character look whatever the heck you want in this disgusting, crusty, old, brown world. Which, while has some bright colors in some of the more typical, I guess you could say, RPG classes like the Knight, a Mercenary, Warrior being somewhat brightly colored, especially like the Herald, or even something like the Sorcerer or Pyromancer, I would say Cleric more, that you can get some pretty good, close interpretations on how characters are. However, you should also know this. The way that your character is customized does affect what level and stats when it starts out. For example, Knight starts at 9, Mercenary starts at 8, 7, 9, 5. Each of these characters varies in their level. If you want to go into a quote-unquote hard mode, you can start off as Deprived, which starts off at the lowest level. They are only level 1, but they have balanced stats all the way out and what we'll be doing right away. Well, I mean balanced stats. They start out with balanced stats because how you build your character determines what playstyle you want to do. So, you can even do this with Burial Gifts, like the Life Ring, which just gives you more health. The Divine Blessing, that gives you all your HP and cure status elements. FP, your focus points, which basically allows you to do cool skills and magic. Imagine they're kind of like skill points. Black Firebomb just does a lot of damage. Fire Gem. Gems allow you to infuse your weapons to have different elemental properties or different stat properties, again, coinciding with your build. You have a Heavy Gem for Strength, Sharp Gem for Dex, Refined Gem for Quality, which means you go for Strength and Dexterity, so on and so forth. You have Fire here, gives you a thing fire weapon, but it has flat damage bonus, I believe. Sovereign Souls just gives you some more souls. Rusted Gold Coin allows you to find items more quickly. Cracked Red Eye Orb will actually be completely useless to us in this playthrough. Because again, you can't do invasions because I'm a poor, broke college student. And we have Young White Branch. Branch of a young white birch. Proud and offering a piece. Can be used to blend into the environment, but only once. So your typical kind of like camouflage. This really only works in invasions when people are invading you and they just want to probably get bored. But you can also use it to sneak past enemies because, well, the AI in this game is stupid. But first off, let's start with the class. We're going to go with Deprived because I like to balance out my stats all the way through. You can customize your appearance completely, but changing it, you have male, female, and this doesn't affect your stats or anything. And it fits certain dialogue, but that's barely it, and it doesn't change. And you have different voices, but we'll be playing as a female first playthrough, because why not? And you get the voices, well, these are the ages, like how you appear. Again, young, mature, age, we'll just go with young. Like, I'm just showing this off, really. Like, I already have a build preset for a character that I have in mind. You can see this with the load favorite. You got physique, you got standard, muscular, body, you got thick body hair, but it's more visible on the males, obviously. You can change your skin tone. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for that. Skin color. You get just the amount of customization that you have available at your fingertips in this game is amazing. And I perfectly think it's one of the best things about this game. In addition to some of the other aspects. Well, there is some brokenness to the game. I still do like it. Face to tail. You can do similar face and literally just cycle through this crap, and it's kind of hilarious. Like bam, 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 and like your face just kind of like progressively gets worse and worse and worse. But we'll just load up one of our favorites. Just like typical stuff that I was like, oh, here's like some weird stuff that I just did because I was like really freaking bored. But we will go with this particular build. If you're wondering why I went like this one, well, I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem recently, and, well, I wanted to do a magic build with some strength, some dexterity, yada yada yada. But we'll be calling this character Tharja, and if you're wondering, like, oh, again, like, why aren't you using, like, Sorcerer or Pyromancer? It's because I want to have I would have full control of what level I am. So if I was going to be invaded, my stats would be on the lower end, making sure I wouldn't be invaded by certain players. But we'll take the young white branch because that'll actually come in handy later. Our builds are fine because Tharja in herself is not muscular and all that. And if you're wondering, like, oh, how are you gonna get close to Tharja? There's really only one way you could get really close to Tharja in terms of appearance. In terms of like how the game looks, you can get it pretty early, but it's also somewhat difficult. We're gonna finalize our creation, and we're gonna start the game with a new playthrough. And this time, it's gonna be focusing on Tharja. Now, also get used to this. There's not actually going to be a whole lot of music in this game. In fact, there's barely any at all. When you're going from area to area, music will not play unless you're entering a new area or fighting a boss. That is it. Ah, crap, my throat. But yeah, you also don't really have to worry about a whole lot of dialogue in these scenes as well. So, just let it rock through. And here we start in the Cemetery of Ash. That's what I mean, like, you would not have like typical music cues and all that. So you start off with basically nothing. All you got is a loincloth, a plank shield, and a club, along with an Estus flask, which restores your HP, which is represented on the top left by the red bar. Blue bar is your focus, green bar is your stamina. You don't typically play this game with your usual face buttons. For example, right stick controls your camera, as you can see. I'm just trying to see if there's kind of like a slight delay. Yeah, like you see, your regular attack, you press with the right bumper. Your heavy attack, you press with the right trigger. Strong attack, your heavy attack, charge it up. And you click on the right stick to lock on. Enemies will just come and randomly attack you, and enemies are very hostile in this game. Get behind an enemy, press right bumper, and then you'll initiate a backstab or a back attack. Does heavy damage and it counts as a critical hit, which is something we'll use later. Press B to backstep, and press B in any general direction with the left button or the left stick, and you will roll. Move while pressing B, and you will dash. And every single action in this game does require stamina usage, with the exception of lightly jovial jogging, I suppose. Dodge rolling takes stamina, backstep, club, so on and so forth. Like this doesn't take stamina, but that's because you're not doing anything. Anyways, just want to like take this off. The tutorial area is not all hard. Most things die to you in one hit. Pick this up. Shiny objects on the floor will be represented by little white spheres. Not important items will be smaller, while big key items like the Ash and Estus flask we just picked up are highlighted by bare ones. And hey look, it's somewhat familiar if you play Dark Souls 1. Anyways, all the things right here on the floor, these little touch signs, they provide information. Now you can have these from other players or yourself, or you can put it down yourselves. But like again, you'll see some within the game that just really don't do anything, unfortunately for you. Because guess what? You can't do anything because we don't have access to online, unfortunately. Again, I'm gonna keep harping on that. But anyways, I do like this game. I do truly enjoy it. And I do know the area that we're going to end this episode on, or at least a part. We will not be going through this part yet. But I will... Here's the thing. We won't fight the enemy here, but I'll show it off at the very least. Here we go. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a crystal lizard. Do not fight these things unless you're pretty good at the game, or you're just over leveled and you kill it like within a few hits with the way your gameplay is styled after. With the amount of health we have and the pool of armor that available to us, i.e. nothing at all, it's just not very good. You can change your weapons or your items by pressing on the D-pad, left or right. Left controls your shields, which is basically your left hand. Right is on your right hand, obviously, for the weapons. You'll attack primarily with this, like I said, the right bumper, but you can do certain techniques with the left stick being completely empty, or if it's a weapon. Usually it'll just be guard, but say if it's a weapon, you would activate its ability. For this plane shield, it's shield bash. And as you can see, it takes up some of your focus points every time you use it. That can be used for every single weapon. However, if you have nothing in your offhand, you'll activate your weapon's focus arts, which again, in your right hand only. For us, it's a war cry, which buffs our weapon's damage. The minute we put it away though, that buff is gone. But if you have fist weapons, i.e. either nothing in your hand or something related to your fist, you can do a parry. It doesn't take any focus, but it does take a tiny bit of stamina, and you can pretty reliably just spam it. I don't recommend you spam it, but it is a little interesting. However, if you screw up on a parry, not only do you lose almost all your stamina in proportion to how much the damage is, you'll lose some health as well. Because, well, you screwed up, you paid the price, but you'll pretty much stay the same in terms of, like staggering. If you get staggered, you pretty much stagger after almost every single attack unless your poise is super high. Our poise is garbage at 0.40, but you should be fine. Mostly. But overall, you should be fine. Bonfires are how you're going to restore your HP and your Estus. Because, case in point, I will drink all the Estus here by pressing X. Estus have a limited amount of uses. Use all of them. You'll get some little animation saying you're out of Estus. The same can be applied for FP, but FP is going to be slightly different. Yada yada yada. What you want to do, if you ever run out of Estus or for either your HP or MP, you'll rest at these bonfires. You'll light them. They act as fast travel points. Not right this second, but they will later. They act as fast travel points and an automatic reset to your health, your weapon durability, all that. However, it also resets every single enemy in the area. So, case in point, you know those hollows that we defeated earlier? Go back over here, and you can see he spawned back. The only real exception to this are bosses. Bosses will never actually respawn after you defeat them unless you go on a New Game Plus. Then, well, they'll be fine. Like, everything respawns. But, yeah, that's pretty much how it works so far. So let's just go on through. Ow. The game, in of itself, is still difficult, I will say. Dark Souls is not an easy game. I know how to play it, so therefore it's not as difficult for me as it is for some people, i.e. my friend, Phantom Knight. I got him this game like 2 or 3 years ago, and he still hasn't beaten it yet. Granted, though, he's like, alright, I'm done. I'm not going to go past further than this, because he said it's too difficult. But like I said, that shows the point of the game. It's very difficult. And you'll see this with our first tutorial boss. And I do apologize for like the whole line thing. Like, as you can see, it's happening right now. Even when I walk like pretty slow like this, it's really when I walk fast, or in this case, run, that you'll start seeing it. Basically, when things rapidly change is when you'll start seeing the line. I.e. during a critical hit animation, so on and so forth, because guess what, my computer isn't high-end. It can't process this stuff really good. Anyways, you can jump by running for a certain bit of time. Really, all you gotta do is like do that. You fall from a far enough height, you can dodge roll, but if you fall from too far a height that your body cannot safely handle it, you will not only take damage, but if you fall way too high up, you will actually die. Case in point, these aren't really high points, so they won't do damage to us. And if you're directly above an enemy while falling, you can do a plunge attack. All you gotta do to initiate a plunge attack is basically fall off an edge on top of an enemy and press right bumper at that time. So anyways, run past this enemy and critical. Now I will say this, the bosses might actually make the encoding too hard for my game, i.e. it will be like ugly, like it will screw up my thing. So in the future I might, like record on there, then come back and then like put it through OBS Studios to get it to work. But anyways, as you can see, this area is pretty open. Pretty small for a first beginning area. So you're like, oh, that's not pretty. So your first natural thought is, let's get out of here and leave, But usually when you come up to a door, they would give you an option to open it, leave, talk, whatever. You can't leave this area. So, what you gotta do? Well, what you gotta do is come back here and remove the sword from inside this guy's chest. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna beat the crap out of him. Just mash out our right bumper. And this is our first boss, Iudex Gundyr. And in case you don't know, Iudex, I believe in what? Latin, I believe, is the term for judge. And thus, Gundyr is our first boss. He is judging your capabilities to see if you are worthy, oh crap, of continuing forth with the rest of the game. So I'm going to heal, and yeah, bosses have second forms in this game. I.e., you get something like that! But here's the thing, you really don't have to worry all that much about them. I say that, but I have experience with this game. So, Iudex Gundyr isn't the hardest boss in this game. Not even close. Not even for someone like me. Up, 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 up. You do enough damage, enemies will stagger, and then you can get the option to do a riposte on them, but Iudex Gundyr goes down with little to no trouble. And for our case, we get the coiled sword. And if you defeat a boss, your embers are stored, giving you more health, and you can, well, go on through. However, if you are embered, that allows you to be open to invasions. I.e., what I was talking about earlier with the player versus player action. Here, you rest at this bonfire, and you still don't have the capability of transporting yourself from area to area yet. And as you can see at the bottom right hand side, we have this little counter here that went up after we defeated every single enemy and Gundyr. That's our soul counter. That is directly related to how we level up and our currency. To be fair though, the currency on certain items isn't really all that high. In fact, getting 3,000 souls right now would buy you a good portion of really good early game items from some of the merchants that will meet later. And by later, I mean in a few minutes. Anyways, after defeating Iudex Gundyr, and yes, you do have to beat him in order to open the door, grab this broken straight sword, useless weapon. It's probably one of the weakest in the game in terms of, actual damage. But it's not something you truly have to worry about all the time. Anyways, go over here, grab this Homeward Bone. Homeward Bone is your way of kind of fast traveling between if you get stuck in an area or if you're in danger and you really want to leave. You have a certain amount of slots, i.e. you have 8 for items, 4 for accessories, basically your rings. A piece of 4 slots for each of your armors, being head, chest, arms, and legs. 3 pieces for your offhand set, 3 pieces for your right hand set, and you have different types of arrows. Well, you can have 2 different types, And you can have two different types of bolts. Those are for crossbows. Arrows are for bows and arrows. You have all your statuses right here on the side. Vigorous for health. Attunement is for how many focus points you have. Endurance, I believe, is how much stamina you have. Vitality, oh god, relates to your carry load, I believe. Like how much you can carry depending on your weight. Strength reserves to how heavy weapons you can use and how much damage they will do. Dexterity, our katana is a bit of the lighter-handed weapons that require a bit more depth of hand. Intelligence relates to sorceries. Faith relates to miracles, but if you combine the two, it actually increases damage for pyromancy. And luck is proportional to how often you find items, how heavy the bleed effects are for certain statuses, where they build up for you or for your opponent. Yeah, I knew I just threw a bunch of terminology at you right away, but when I say this game is fun, it's mainly because I've been playing this game for years at this point. I know what I'm talking about, and thus it's not that difficult for me. But I can understand if it's difficult for other people and they don't enjoy it as much, i.e. Phantom Knight. Finish that game, man. It cost me money, I'm kidding. If you don't enjoy a game, I'm not going to force someone to play it. It's just things that are interesting to me, I want other people to enjoy, which is why I do YouTube, and usually I enjoy my gameplay. For the most part. But, ooh, almost fell off the edge. And that was our first hollow dog, and it fell off the edge. Yay for us. Anyways, you want to come over here, you get an ember. Embers are your way of basically getting you back to full health after you, well, get screwed over and die. Whether by the environment, your own carelessness, or how well you are at playing the game. Now, you would want to go here, but if you go over to the left, you go up here, and you fight these hollows. Nothing really too all-important. They're pretty easy enemies. If you grab this, though, that's another ember for you, so that's more of a full health restore, because that's how embers are. They act as full restores, so even if you have 1 HP, the ember will not only bring you back to full health, but it also, well, gives you more health. But you cannot be embered when you use these. Case in point, mine's grayed out because, well, I'm embered. And you'll see this in the effect of your clothes. Case in point, Tharja's loincloth right here will emit a soft orange glow, and she'll be leaving off some embers because she is unkindled ash. You see that man up there? That's another opponent, and another unique opponent at that. Unique opponents, like bosses, do not respawn, and they will stay here until you kill them. Usually. If they have a health bar, that usually means that they're aggro. This is the Swordmaster. Swordmaster hurts! But it's not a too difficult enemy. He'll draw in the stance, he'll do typical anime weeaboo tropes. Like I said, I know how to play this game, but if you don't know how to play this, I would recommend not dealing with the Swordmaster until you're a bit of a higher level. Bop, bop, bop. We'll buff with Warcry. Come on, get closer. Bop, bop, bop. You can get away with 2, maybe 3 hits, but when he's in that stance, you really don't want to mess with him, because he will do his anime weeaboo slice. Ooh, we got 5 hits. He must have ran out of stamina. Yes, because even the enemies have stamina. But bam! By defeating this crusty old Swordmaster, you get 2,000 souls, and if you pick up this item, you get the Uchi Katana, the Master Attire, and Master's Gloves. They're really not good weapons, but you really do want to have something on your body. Because every time you don't have something on your body, you actually take more damage. I.e., you can be level 99, you can be the max level, right? However, in new game like +2 or something, if you have no items on your body, you will still take a lot of damage even from low game enemies. Like these hollows, which were doing a lot of damage to me, can still technically do a lot of damage to you if you aren't wearing some form of armor. Even base raggedy armor like this can improve your defenses, even if it's ever so slightly. Now, if you're going for cosplay like I do with some of my other characters, I made a Tifa build before FF7 Remake came out. You want to take off this because it's closer to, well, the appearance. Just don't, if you don't hate yourself. Anyways, you got people around in this area. The Firelink Shrine, which is going to be your main hub. Don't attack them! They help you. And they will actually beat the living crap out of you if you do attack them. Case point, talk to this man.
And they'd have us seek the lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. But we're talking true legends with the ludlith and the fire. Not fit to lick their boots.
And with that, you get another Jester, the Collapse Jester, where this guy is basically depressed as crap. It's like, why are we doing this? This isn't necessary. This isn't worthy. But yeah, if you want to do Jesters, it's kind of a little fun thing. You press where your select button would be, and you get a few Jesters here, like a bow, a jump for joy, or one of the most famous ones, the point down Jester. It's mainly that one I mainly use for PvP when I had it. But you have this lady here, who we saw in the intro.
Have left their thrones and must be delivered to them. To this end I am at thy side.
And there you go, we have Manor Firekeeper. She's your way to level up in this game, because you don't level up in Bonfires like you do in the first Dark Souls.
Very well. Then touch the darkness within you. Take nourishment from these softenless souls.
Like I said, souls are your way to buying levels or leveling up and increasing your overall stats, yada yada. Like I said, vigor increases your health, attunement FP, stamina is for endurance, vitality is for your equip load, strength is for pretty much any weapon, like even dexterity based weapons getting some strength, but you know, on and so forth. Again, dexterity, like the club isn't buffed by this because even the hands are considered dexterity based weapons. Strength is what improves your club because the club is a strength based weapon. Intelligence, as you can see, will increase. It's not going to increase any of our stats now because none of them scale with intelligence. Or faith, for example. But they do increase your defense ever so slightly. We'll level these up later when we come across more weapons I want to build. Because I have a very particular playstyle that I have trouble breaking even now. But anyway, let's go forward. Here's a little interesting thing. This is the Handmaiden. Or the Shrine Maiden, to be more precise. You can talk to her now, but you do get a little interesting Easter egg if you wait until way later and then come back and talk to her. Where she has slightly different dialogue. But anyways, let's talk to her.
Trinkets and spells. I got little things to ease the burden of a weary traveller. And yes, I'm undead too, but not so charitable as to give my poison. Ashen One, fetch souls, bring them to me. As is the
Yep, so she's your mate, she is your merchant, one of them, and she sells you certain items. I.e., she sells you pretty basic items. Dried finger is something that's used for cooperation, so is the white sign soapstone, so until it's that point, we won't be needing them. She sells you a few basic items, like a dagger, a short sword, a scimitar, kind of like all different items to play around your playstyle. She also sells you some chainmail, some chain armor, leather gauntlets, and some chain leggings, which are ultimately better defensive items, but we'll be saving that for a little bit later when we get some of things we rely. Repair power repairs your weapons or armor if they're broken, but unless you're facing a very particular playstyle, you really won't ever have to worry about your repair powder. So right now she doesn't have a whole lot of things for us. There is a tower key, but it is way out of our range right now. So unfortunately, we won't be able to do anything at the Shrine Handmaid. Yes, I will think about it. But anyways, there's only one other person here we have to currently talk to. Well, correction, there's two. This is Andre.
Well, a newcomer, I see. I am Andre. I serve at this shrine as a humble smith, forging weapons. You're in search of the Lords of Cinder, I trust. A toilsome journey, I'd wager. You'll require good arms. Let me smith you weapons. I am a smith. Such is my purpose.
So, yep, Andre is our weaponsmith, where he enforces your weapon, reinforces your weapons, giving them a higher rating. In fact, this also correlates to how you will invade or being invaded. People can only invade you if they are technically on your level. But if their weapons are too high in the weapon rating, they will not be able to invade such low level players. So people with plus 10 weapons cannot invade someone with plus 1 or even 0. I believe it goes up in tiers like 0 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so on and so forth. I believe 8, 9, 10 are like their own little group, because the weapon increase is not super significant, but it's enough to where you would, notice it. And i.e., you can notice that certain weapons you cannot wield unless you have a certain level of in your stats. You're required to have 11 strength to even wield the Uchi-Katana, and you have to have 16 dexterity. Strength, you can wield weapons with 2 hands, but, makes you to where you can't use certain weapon arts. But dexterity, no, that has to be the flat stat unless you're wearing a special item that increases it. Again, you can go into infuse weapons to infuse them with certain stuff. It's certain attributes, but you do need to acquire that attribute in order to level it up. Again, you can go to Andre to repair broken equipment. You don't really need it because it's not necessary in most cases. You can allot your Estus to be where you can have more heals or you want more magic. Right now, we're just going to focus on healing because what I'm going to go for Tharja is someone who's kind of mixed in terms of their stats when it comes to healing. Not healing, when it comes to magic. She's not going to go for purely one school of thought here. Because if you played Fire Emblem, Tharja is a mage, and mages have access to pretty much every single form of magic, with the exception of dark mages, which is what Tharja is. Tharja, as a dark mage, has the ability to use dark magic, whereas normal mages don't. So, until we get dark magic, which is not until pretty much way later on in the game, like almost at the end game, we won't be able to, quote-unquote, use Tharja right. But here we go with the Estus. I'm going to give myself more health for right now, but you can bring it back. You can reinforce your Estus flask, but we can't do that right now. And we will leave Andre to his own devices. And there's only one last person left to talk to here. These are the Lord's Thrones. As you saw in the beginning of the game, 4 of them have chosen, or actually 3 of them have chosen to abandon their thrones. We only see one. Well, we have heard the tales of Aldrich, the Abyss Watchers, Yorm the Giant. They have chosen to abandon their thrones, and it's time for us to bring them in. However, there's actually one tiny little lord. You go up here, and you can talk to him.
All that unkindled, and a seeker of lords. I am to be coy. Have a closer look.
Now, Ludlith is a very interesting character because we will be getting something from him later depending on how we play our styles of the game. But right now, he can't really do anything to us other than talk, so we will leave him be. And this man is tiny. Now, I was wrong once again. I remember there is one other character we could talk to here, but unfortunately, he's kind of limited in how we can do things with him. Oh, never mind. He's not here yet. Never mind. He'll come here later. But overall, yeah, that's how this game is going to play out. It's our job to track down the Lords of Cinder and bring them to their thrones. They don't come willingly, well, they can leave with the body part or two. Anyways, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will cut here, as this will be the start of a journey. Whether I do streaming with this, kind of depends. I don't know. I might stream, I might not. But I will do this. Anyways, let's embed the coiled sword. And this, technically, I believe, opens up the fast travel. Anyways, the bonfire is lit. And we can rest at this bonfire. And like I said, now we have the ability to fast travel. But now we'll go to the Cemetery of Ash, or the Iudex Gundyr. But our next main objective is the High Wall of Lothric. But with that, everyone, my name is Omega Zero, and I will catch you all later.